Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Importance of Performance with Aiden Palmer, where I interview performers to truly understand the benefits of performance. Today's guest is Shane Palmer, a drummer for many local bands, such as one I believe Johnny and the Mongrels is one that I know you best for. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Well, to start, can you tell me a little bit about what you do, present day?
Well, currently I'm a drum teacher. I teach at about three different places now, and I have about 16 students currently under my my teaching, I guess you want to say. And I try to, and as far as that goes, I try to focus on kind of like I think I have several teenage students and students around from the age of 5 to 16. A lot of younger students. And I think it's important for these younger students. I'm just teaching the fundamentals of drumming. Maybe it's a rock beat, maybe it's a whatever. Just trying to get something simple out and get them their limb independence and such like that. So
Do you enjoy the process of teaching then?
I do enjoy the process of teaching. It gives me, it's almost twofold. It gives me time to invest back into the community of drummers, as well as it allows me to think about and see some of the actions that go into playing. I think that kids can show things on the fundamental level that I might not have realized because I've already internalized it over the years. And teaching, giving back to these students is, 100% satisfactory. I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
And you said that some of the things that you've internalized over the years. Can you elaborate a little more on that? Like, what really sparked your interest in music?
I've always been fairly musical, even as a kid, listening to Michael Jackson's "Bad" when it came out, and that's probably dating myself a bit. But always had interest in music there. Various artists that I'd listen to, some pop and stuff like that. A lot of mainstream radio. Artists at the time when I was in my younger years, my teen years, until I basically found Medeski Martin Wood and jazz improvisational experience on that, in different bands. I think what sparked my interest, I think first off that I was around 6 years old when I started playing drums, and funny enough, learned from a left-handed drummer, so I'm open grip. I'm a little different than that, anomaly to a certain degree. That's aside the point, but I think at the time, Medeski Martin Wood really got me on track to performing. And like I said, they were an improvisational group, very much jazz oriented, very much funk oriented. And from then on out, I didn't listen to as much mainstream music, but listened to more improvisational stuff like jazz and fusion.
What do you listen to now?
Currently, well, it's a hodgepodge of music. I would say I listen to some of the Meters, which is a New Orleans funk group. I recently have listened to my teacher Johnny Vidakovich. He has a group out in Olatet, and I was just listening to that, obviously, in the car driving today. And I think I've been listening also to Joshua Redman, another jazz artist. John Coltrane, Miles Davis, a lot of it in the jazz idiom, Bob Marley, as far as reggae goes. So I listen to kind of a wide array of different styles, and I think that is one of the reasons why, I've played many different styles over the years.
Do you currently perform out?
I'm more teaching right now. I haven't performed out as much as several years ago when I was with Johnny and the Mongrels, and I performed then. But in the meantime, I have had different, sessions with players where we get together and play, all experienced performers. So that was really fun, but it's more of a jam session kind of scenario in that case.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about the performances you've had, or the benefits you got from them playing out? Where have you played? Can you give me an example?
I started out in Mobile, Alabama, played many different places down there, bars and stuff like that, but they were, just different notable venues on not Bourbon Street. Dolphin Street. I'm sorry. I was trying to think of the path. It's almost like New Orleans' Bourbon Street.
Okay.
Yeah. But also Voodoo Fest. Performed in Voodoo Fest. Performed
Voodoo
in Bear.
Fest.
Yeah. In New Orleans, they have a big festival, and it's just many different bands. I mean, there are so many different performers there. Erykah Badu was there, all these different big people. Also Bear Creek Music Festival, which is more of a jam-based festival where my teacher played actually at the same time as I was down there.
Can you talk a little bit about your teacher again?
Yeah, Johnny Vodakovich. He's a really well-known, renowned teacher and performer in the New Orleans area. He's kind of known to be a New Orleans legend. I was really lucky to study with a guy. He's almost like a drum philosopher mentor. So he had a lot of ideas around how music would, the physicality of it, molecules bouncing off your body and, making you move and different stuff like that.
That's something I haven't really gone over as much yet. How difficult was it to take lessons from him?
Well, I mean, he was a very, I would say, strict teacher. He's very considerate. He was a master at his craft, so he expected you to be pretty on your game. He expected you to practice the material he was teaching you. I would go over about maybe a couple times, something like that a month, just commuting from Mobile to New Orleans because that's where he lived, of course, And so he was a no-nonsense guy. You'd walk in and he would immediately know if you practiced or not, So I've even had, let's see, not reprimands, but, I've had times where he's said, hey, you need to practice more, stuff like that. As a performer, he knew what it took. He knew what it takes, knows what it takes to become a very proficient player.
Can you name what it really took for you to put the time in to practice like he was telling you to? Where was it the passion that was driving you, or was it just willpower?
Probably a little bit of both, because music, I think, takes a certain amount of discipline to become really proficient at it. I think it's just one of those things where, I've spent hours playing the same thing just over and over, slow, jazz patterns on the ride and stuff, where I was almost like in a meditative state, in a trance state. And that's what it takes with muscle memory. It's all controlled by the brain, but we say muscle memory is something that solidifies grooves, solidifies the music in you.
Yeah, and of course you really have to love the process, or just the music in general, or drumming in your case, in order to sit there for hours. I mean, I know I probably couldn't do that with something I didn't love, right?
Yeah, I definitely loved that, and also enjoyed the fact that I was able to employ certain methods that my teacher Johnny taught me, and I was able to kind of expound on his teachings while sitting in the drum room and practicing this stuff over and over. I think to a certain degree it's really hypnotic, or it's like meditative to you get into a certain mindset with this, and it's cathartic. For the body, for the mind, I think.
You said back then, when you were practicing, you just said a little bit like hypnotic or meditative. It put you in a trance kind of state.
Right.
How often would that happen? I am curious. Where did you practice?
Honestly, I practiced a lot of my time early on years was just in this back shed of my mom's property. We called it the shack, and I had several players who would come out there, and I would practice individually, and then I would practice with many other different players who would come out and frequent the shack. We made a lot of good music out there.
Yeah. So, did you make a lot of connections practicing like that, or how did you meet these people? I'm curious.
Probably just being on the scene. I mean, knowing all these different people in Mobile for years, you become acquainted with, a lot of musicians, and from those musicians, you'll come across more, and it's kind of a network that grows from there. But a lot of these players, yeah, I mean, I met after high school, and just kind of like playing on the local scene, and I happened to have a lot of friends in that. I was told by a really good keyboard player, brought me into contact with a guy named Snoopy. Chris Kerrigan was his name. Snoopy, he was a real character. Bass player and guitar player. And Chris Spees is a big name now on keys and organ, Hammond B3 organ. But he basically said, hey, he's a really great bass player. You guys should talk. And so we talked, and him, my brother, and I, got together and kind of formed a little bit of a group and started writing some songs together.
That's really cool. Do you talk to him at all now, or he's pretty far, yeah?
Yeah, he's in Austin, Texas right now, as far as I know. Last I know that he, I think last time I saw Snoopy and actually performed with him was about 6 years ago. Right.
Oh, 6 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't too awfully long ago, but it was a bit of stint of time ago. We came together for a reunion of a band that we were both in. He got me in after he was playing guitar in this band called Spec, and it was a 7-piece horn band. He got me involved with that, and they had their own agency and everything like that that booked gigs and stuff. So we had a lot of gigs. I played a lot of gigs with the guy. This was a reunion show for that band, though.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. It's pretty cool. I mean, personally for me, I guess, I've been in, obviously, School of Rock. I made a lot of connections with some friends and stuff there, and that's where I'd get to go play out. As I haven't really had my own band, at least not experience like you're talking about, not booking gigs and stuff. We had a few gigs, but really it's just, for me, I guess School of Rock took a lot of that time that you're talking about. I have yet to get into that professional realm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's pretty cool, being able to make friends through music like that. And I do want to ask, it's a little bit off topic here, I guess, change directions a little bit. What, in your words, would you say is the most important thing about performance?
I would think it has something to do with the emotion it evokes out of the crowd and the performer, because both are set, at the location, wherever you're playing, some venue. You're both set to enjoy the process. The audience likes to hear the music, and different music, by the way, can make you feel different ways, I believe. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but it's as well, you have the performers, and the performers also have a great experience, although it's a little stressful sometimes, performing in front of people, and sometimes you get stage nerves or whatever you want to call them. And I don't know if that ever actually goes away. The first note I'd play, it's still going to be hard to get in there and start performing. It's hard, but it's it's a process, and I think both parties, the audience and the performer, are important in the equation. And I think it enriches their lives.
Enriches their lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think it allows them to experience more emotion. Perhaps, let's just say you have, could be the performer, could be the audience. It shows up at a venue, and let's just say you're playing jazz music or something like that, where it's very cerebral. The effect is not so much in danceable as much as it is like a mental, element of music. And you really get that person kind of spiraling down their own journey of music as far as like the sound goes and how they feel. Now, there's other music where you could say like funk music where, people come to enjoy the dance. They get on the groove. Yeah.
You are a funk drummer, yeah?
Well, I would say yeah, but I also try to chameleon and play some other styles too.
Okay, so you play other things.
Right, reggae, and I played bluegrass, and I played some rock and some blues, and second line drumming, and
Yeah, you said reggae too, yeah?
yeah.
You said earlier that you listened to some Bob Marley.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's a really good artist, I think, and that harkens back to the music being a whole element of culture. His music spoke for social injustice, even. I mean, and that's another thing you could say in performance can affect different things like that.
I mean, music specifically
Mm-hmm.
really kind of can have messages that we
Mhm.
send out to people, or
Right,
we as in the artists that make them, and
right.
how important is that?
Well, I think music in that regard is kind of unique. You can have messaging in the songs. I mean, it could be Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy. It could be something like that. Or it could be Small Axe by Bob Marley, which is basically talking about, the corporate world and, the people, the oppressed and the oppressors. It really, as compared to maybe perhaps another performance medium, whether it be maybe even sports or something like that, you have music, the unique part of music being that you can have a message wrapped up in that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So would you say, is music a really big part of performance in general? Or I guess what I'm trying to say is, what is performance to you? Is it just music?
Well, I mean, I think you can have orders or something like that. Speakers performing and sending messages and such like that. You can have sports players, and they perform as well. But I believe, like I said, music, I think, is personally is my
Is that your genre of performing in a way, or
Right,
are they
right.
in categories?
I don't know if I'd consider them categories. I mean, I think performance is pervasive among many of these different types of arts, whether it be sports or whether it be actual music or whether it even be artwork. You can actually have artists basically performing when they're painting pictures of performance or performers. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Painting
That's
pictures of performers?
Yeah, they'll actually sit there and paint renditions of the artist as they're playing
Okay.
at shows. Yeah, live
I've
shows.
I've never heard of that, actually. Personally, I actually have never heard of that.
Yeah.
What I am curious, like, just a thought. Do you think that like YouTubers are performers?
Yeah, I think they are performers. I mean, they're
In a certain sense.
right. They're disseminating content, whatever that content is. They're trying to captivate an audience, get subscribers.
Yeah,
Get views.
that's true. Making specific content.
Yeah.
For specific people, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
like a specific audience.
Mm-hmm. Different markets. What have you, and a lot of times those tie back into advertisement and YouTube and such like that. So
But why specifically is that performance? Why is music performance? Why is art performance?
well, I think you have a few different parties involved. I said earlier, I guess we'd spoken down a little bit about the observer and the performer.
I guess to clarify my question a little bit, basically what I'm asking is, what does it do for the observer, as you stated, as well? Like, we know that the performer gets a lot out of it. Obviously, it depends. I mean, there's money, but also maybe adrenaline or just passion continues through their performance. But what does it do for the observer? When people go out to see a gig or something like that, or a local band, what do they get out of it?
I mean, I think they get a few things out of it. One of those things is community. I believe that people can connect with other people there, who are there to listen to share the same experience, and that puts them in the same place of commonality, whatever they're going there for. I mean, if it's music, they're going to listen to a certain style of music. This actually really, I think that different genres, come to think about it, different genres really affect the observer in different ways. So, you've got, let's just say, rock or metal or something like that, where it's just, recently I had somebody telling me like, hey, do you like metal? It has that real gritty sound to it, that punch to it, that almost anger or, angst or something. Like, okay, well, maybe we can consider that part of the feeling that these people have when they go to these shows, is rock shows or a metal show, as compared to a funk show or a reggae show where people are dancing and feeling a completely different vibe. But I think that they go there for, it evokes emotion. They go there to have a good time. They work these jobs every day, and they go at night or whenever you go to see these performances to kind of free yourself a little bit.
And you're talking a little bit about metal. Like, I mean, I personally played a lot of metal or rock back in School of Rock, but
yeah.
You said anger, or not even just anger, just emotions that come with music in that sense, and being able to create community through that. Mm-hmm. Is it because they have something in common? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they have that in common. They're also there to experience something in common. I mean, and I don't mean to say that, by the way, that metal is an angry music or anything like that. I mean to evoke a certain feeling that's different from different styles of music. But I think either way, it does build a sense of community when people are there to listen to a similar genre, similar music. They might be in the same mindset. Maybe it's happy-go-lucky. Maybe it's just like rock, rocking. Maybe it's like, the blues, or...
Can it be like an escape as well from the stress? You mentioned jobs and just daily life. What does it do to kind of does it take you away from that?
I think it can uplift, maybe. Kind of uplift the audience and get them caught up to a different headspace, maybe, if you want to say. And I think music does that really well. Just as art or something like that would work on a viewer and such. But I mean, that's a little different from performance of music. But yeah, I think that people can go to kind of escape the mundane throes of life, if you will. Yeah.
I appreciate your insight on the world of performance very much. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I just think I think as far as just impressing that music upon one that music is to be explored, by the listener, and that the performers gain just as much as the listener, as the audience. I think it's formative in one's life as a performer. It gives you certain skills that you carry throughout life, not necessarily it could be performance in acting, or it could be performance in music and playing different genres. There's a certain enjoyment. I mean, I get a certain satisfaction, certainly, of listening back to some of the stuff I've done over the years and saying oh, hey, this is great. This is something I actually did. I can be proud of this, So it's uplifting for the performer in that way too, I think. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Everyone, I hope to see you on the next episode of The Importance of Performance with Aidan Palmer, and have a great day.